Okay, I'm fixing to shut this off when I come back. I'm gonna go get her class on Google Meet for this, and then we'll get started. Shut itself off.
Oh, you're in the place.
I'm in 27th. I had $34.
Wait, okay. 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Jay, 14 billion.
I got 27.
Good job, Jay. Why? Jay, why? You have a whole nother like call.
You didn't do that.
Oh. You said that, wait, no, good question. Jay, stop hacking.
I answered 4 right and 4 wrong. I answered 15.
Yeah, answer what?
Answered 12 right.
I have some
Hey,
you weren't even doing anything. I don't want to hear you. You were drawing on people.
actually,
It's all patterns.
I have $6.
Yeah, better than that.
Actually, I have more than $1.
We don't lose this job.
I got 34.
Hey, Jacob, what are you doing? No good.
No good. Money.
I have budget of 34. I don't care.
I literally had every upgrade possible.
And then
Sure. No wonder no one likes me.
I was getting close to getting all the upgrades.
You took that too far. You took that too far. Y'all have the perfect group.
Talking about pizza?
What?
He said we have
why are you talking back?
I said y'all have the perfect group.
You didn't even touch me.
No. Where did they go to? I apologize. How dare you?
Out there.
Shut up.
Jacob.
No.
Did you get over it? No. So mine smells like rotten. Mine smells like
Great microphone.
you could live this. You could live this. What he did. That was
Yeah.
I use an 8.
Dude, I'm 7:13.
Actually, no, I don't. I use a 7.
You mix.
Actually, no, I like the I swear I would squeeze the
I do that too. Actually,
no,
just see what it would smell like.
disgusting.
No, I don't actually use it.
The door's open.
No, I don't use it. It's just like you smell it. Like, you
You
don't get bored of it. You get
Right,
guys. If y'all will get the paper I just gave you out and a pencil, we're gonna get started. It's fine. I got it. All right. Oh, all right, guys. I need everyone here really quiet today because they're listening to the Google Meet as well. And when I was in there, like just y'all talking normally, it's very loud. So let's keep our noise down just so that they can also hear these notes with us. If Guys in my class, if you need to see it closer up, or if you're in Miss Fletcher's class and you need to see it closer up, let your teacher know. You can join in on Google Meets. Swillie's class, I've asked y'all not to talk. I need everybody quiet for me. Okay, so we have learned, and we've already taken our notes on solubility, and that solubility is the ability to dissolve, for a solute to dissolve. And now we need to talk about how to read a solubility curve. So we're going to go through sample questions today on some things that you could possibly be asked on the solubility curve, and I'm going to give you examples and kind of show you how we answer them.
They're having a hard time hearing over here.
Okay.
I have the volume all the way up.
So they may have to do it on their Chromebook then. That's what I was worried about. I don't know how to change the volume
Okay.
because I don't have a way to change it here. So let me give you some headphones, and I have to join the Google Meets.
You would think she would show. She's like a professional at workout person. She's like
I know a solid. Our teacher was Patty, and you had a Mr. class, and it was the day we watched Miss something goes to Washington, that old movie, and we had this and she was like, just don't even watch it, and then just copy off of other people, and she did not care what we did at all. We just sat there.
Dude, the workout lead, she was so motivational.
I don't know.
She like wrote stuff on the board and they were like funny. She was like, haters and like,
She's like, we're not going to talk until this video. And if I hear y'all talking, y'all know to be
she had like so much class and she was she's like notes and you said she like brought it to one of the papers and was like, I don't even know what it was. Like, we're not that bad at a class. Like, she said, like, we're one of the best classes.
like I was asking to help, and she just like, and she was I don't know what to do. I wasn't here. Do y'all remember Miss Wilford from 6th grade? Y'all have her? That really black lady.
All right.
You know, right.
She got fired.
Okay. So again, what I'm going to do is go through, I need no talking. I need eyes and ears towards the board. We're going to go through different types of questions that you might be asked and give you different examples of that. Now, so first of all, let's talk about what this graph is. This graph is called a solubility curve. And a solubility curve is a graph that shows us how much solute can be dissolved at certain temperatures. So again, this is a graph that shows us how much solute can be dissolved at certain temperatures. Now let's look at the axes on the graph. Now, the y-axis on the graph, this tells us how much we can dissolve. This tells us how much we can dissolve. So when it says grams of solute, that's telling us the number of grams of the solute that we can dissolve if we have 100 grams of water. And then our x-axis has the temperature. So it's going to tell us at certain temperatures how much we can dissolve. And if you'll remember from our notes yesterday, we talked about solubility is the ability to dissolve. So if something is soluble, that means it can be dissolved. If something's insoluble, it means it cannot be dissolved. And if students in my class are having a hard time seeing, you're more than welcome to get on Google Meets as well. And that way you can see it up close. All right. So let's do some sample questions. Okay, so the first question is, and let me change my color so that I can use the same color on the graph for you. How many grams of potassium chloride, KCl, will dissolve in 100 grams of water at 80 degrees Celsius? Now, look at your y-axis. It says per 100 grams of water. So is everything on this chart based on 100 grams of water? Yes. So we can actually cross out 100 grams of water because that does not, I mean, it's important. We need to know how much water we have, but it's not going to help us answer the question. Does that make sense? Now, let's go over here to 80 degrees Celsius. So 80 degrees Celsius is down here. And then we need to find out, it asked us how many grams can we dissolve at 80 degrees Celsius. So I need to go to KCl, the one that crosses at 80 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to put myself another little dot. Now let me make this larger. So 80 degrees Celsius, KCl, that's where KCl runs into 80 degrees Celsius. How do I know how many grams? Yes. You don't have to draw necessarily, but if you want to, you can. You're going to look over here to the y-axis, and how many grams can we dissolve at 80 degrees Celsius? 50 grams. Good. So I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going to put 50 grams. Now, our next question is going to be, if we have a solution with 120 grams of sodium nitrate, NaNO3, at 20 degrees Celsius, is this solution saturated, unsaturated, or supersaturated? Again, if we have a solution with 120 grams of sodium nitrate, NaNO3, at 20 degrees Celsius, is the solution saturated, unsaturated, or supersaturated? Oh, we're going to look. I'm going to give y'all some tips too. Over here on the right side of your graph, we're going to write a couple of tips. So supersaturated is going to be over the line. Saturated will be on the line. And unsaturated, any guesses? Below the line. And I'm going to show you what I mean by this in a minute. So supersaturated is over the line, saturated is on the line, and unsaturated is below the line. Now, it tells us 20 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to come down and find my 20 degrees Celsius. Let me make this bigger for you guys. I'm going to find my 20 degrees Celsius. I put a red dot so it'll match my red question. And we need to find NaNO3. And it's not on the screen, so I'm going to have to widen the screen a little bit. Okay, so now I can see it. So I see NaNO3, but they didn't ask me how much NaNO3 can dissolve. They already told me I have 120 grams of NaNO3. And that is right, oh, sorry. That is right here where that red dot is. Now, is this red dot above the line for NaNO3, or is it on the line, or is it under the line? Okay, let's look. NaNO3 is right here. So is that dot over that line, on the line, or under the line? It's over the line. Does everybody see where the red line is? And if we look above the red line, we see the dot. So that means, what type of solution is this? This is supersaturated. All right, question number 3, a different type of question. Which solute is the most soluble at 40 degrees Celsius? Which solute is the most soluble at 40 degrees Celsius? Now, let me ask you this question. If we're saying most soluble, are we looking for what can dissolve more or what can dissolve less? What can dissolve more? If we have 150 grams, is that more soluble or less soluble than something that can dissolve 60 grams? 150, is that more or less soluble than something that can dissolve 60? More. The higher the number, the more soluble you are. So let's go look at 40 degrees Celsius, because that's the only number. Oops, sorry. That's the only number we've been given. So 40 degrees Celsius is right down here. Putting my purple dot there. Now, where am I going to look to find the most soluble? High or low? High. So I'm going to follow this line up to the highest one I can see, and that's NaNO3. We cannot see Ki, and you are not expected to extrapolate the lines. Extrapolate means figure out where it goes after after the graph. You only are accountable for what's on the actual graph. So what solution or what solute, not solution, what solute is most soluble at 40 degrees Celsius? NaNO3. Good. Now let's look at another question. Which solute is the least soluble at 60 degrees Celsius? So we're going to go find 60 degrees Celsius. I'm going to put my yellow dot there. And where are we looking at for least soluble? The lowest. Which one is the lowest? Good. Ce2SO43, which is cesium sulfate. Now, I want to ask you a question. Generally, looking at this graph, do most of these substances increase solubility as temperature increases, or do most of them decrease? Increase. Most of them get more soluble as you increase temperature, right? There are only two lines on here that decrease solubility as temperature increases, and that is the Ce2SO43 and the NH3, and that's because they are gases and the other ones are solids. Okay, that's the difference between those. All right, now let's look at a fifth question, a fifth type of question. At what temperature can we dissolve 80 grams of KNO3, which is potassium nitrate, in 100 grams of water? Now, is there something we can cross out that we will not need? The 100 grams of water. If it ever tells you you're dissolving in 100 grams of water, that means that's just reminding you what our y-axis says. That's for all of them, okay? So now we want to go to see 80 grams. Where am I going to go to put a dot for 80 grams? On the y-axis or x-axis? Y-axis. So I'm going to, up here, where I find 80 grams, I'm going to put me a little dot. And then what am I looking for? I am, but what do I need to go to first before I can figure out the temperature? Yes, I need to find where the KNO3 meets the 80 grams. Now, how do I find the temperature? And so at what temperature can we dissolve 80 grams of KNO3? 50 degrees Celsius. Good. All right, we have one question left, and then we're going to do some practice. Does anybody have any questions yet? And if you're in Miss Fletcher's room, I'll come over and see if you guys have questions in just a second. All right, our very last practice question. A solution of 33 grams of KClO3 is made at 70 degrees Celsius. So a solution of 33 grams of KClO3 is made at 70 degrees Celsius. What type of solution is it? So we're going to put some more dots. We're going to go to 70 degrees Celsius first. And then where are we going to go after that? 33. We're just going to find about where 33 is. And that's probably about right here. Now, when it asks what type of solution, what is it asking us? Unsaturated, saturated, or supersaturated. So you guys tell me at this temperature with 33 grams, is KClO3 saturated, unsaturated, or supersaturated? Why do you say saturated? It's on the line. So that means we've got the perfect amount. Questions about this? Do you guys feel like you are ready to do some practice? Feel good about it? Okay. So this is what I want you to do. I'm actually going to get somebody else to give out the worksheets. If you've got a Chromebook in my room back here on the back, you need to move it because we're going to be using stations. And I don't want your Chromebook to get knocked off. If you're Miss Fletcher's room, I'm going to come answer some questions in just a few minutes. I do not, sweetie, but you can use that. I'm so sorry. I'm out, so I'm going to have to move it some more. Did you get them finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, give me just a second. Let me get everybody started, and then we'll check them. Okay, guys. Let me see. Jaylee, would you mind giving everybody one of these for me? That should be enough. If it's not, let me know. I'm gonna take these over here.
Yes, ma'am.
It was just what y'all did right here, but like words.
It's like you understand it. You understand it better.
Wait, so what did y'all go over?
Because there's started with this now, so like y'all are doing.
They're ahead of the class. I got you, don't worry.
It's because James
Okay.
understands faster than others.
James is a little.
Okay. Everybody listen up. I've got a mess up here, but I'm gonna try to get it. We have 8 stations today. I just heard myself reverberating. Hold on.
Oh.